Ready? Howdy Dee, howdy Landon, howdy Carla, howdy Matt.
Howdy.
Okay, got some feedback.
Morning.
Hello,
Sorry.
sorry.
I was muted.
No problem. If we only had that power with our children. Anyways, howdy Lynn.
And dogs.
Howdy Shawnette. Howdy Beth. Oh. There we go. Anyways, today we are reading. Okay, now we're still in the Apocrypha, and we're starting with 1 Maccabees chapter 10, going through 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we're going to read those today. There's only two more chapters in 1 Maccabees. And then after that, we start 2 Maccabees, which is much more, it seems that there's much more personal accounts in 2 Maccabees. Has anybody else read it?
Not yet.
Recently.
I was a little bit further ahead in this in one, but not that far.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and pray in real quick. Heavenly Father, thank you very much for bringing us together to fellowship and, well, to learn your word. We would ask for you to pour out your spirit upon us, a spirit of understanding and discernment, so that we can see what's actually written here without the pollutions of the world's education system or seminaries or anything else. We ask for you to teach us through your spirit, and we would be very grateful for that. We ask for your healing upon people who are scheduled for surgery, and for you to call to repentance people living around those in a lifestyle of sin who have just passed away. And we would also ask for your deliverance out of certain financial situations that people are suffering. And we're very grateful for that. But at the same time, let all of us learn what you need us to learn from our daily situations. We thank you for that. Let us be a blessing. In Jesus Yeshua's name, amen. Okay, because these are extra long chapters today, we're going to try something a little bit different. So, you can read along on the screen. And we're starting right here at chapter 10. Here we go.
In the 160th year, Alexander, the son of Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, went up and took Ptolemais, for the people had received him, by means whereof he reigned there. Now when King Demetrius heard thereof, he gathered together an exceeding great host, and went forth against him to fight. Moreover, Demetrius sent letters unto Jonathan with loving words, so as he magnified him. For, said he, let us first make peace with him before he join with Alexander against us, else he will remember all the evils that we have done against him, and against his brethren and his people. Wherefore he gave him authority to gather together an host, and to provide weapons, that he might aid him in battle. He commanded also that the hostages that were in the tower should be delivered him. Then came Jonathan to Jerusalem, and read the letters in the audience of all the people, and of them that were in the tower, who were sore afraid when they heard that the king had given him authority to gather together an host. Whereupon they at the tower delivered their hostages unto Jonathan, and he delivered them unto their parents. This done, Jonathan settled himself in Jerusalem, and began to build and repair the city. And he commanded the workmen to build the walls and the Mount Sion round about with square stones for fortification, and they did so. Then the strangers that were in the fortresses which Maccabees had built fled away, insomuch as every man left his place and went into his own country. Only at Bethsura certain of those that had forsaken the law and the commandments remained still, for it was their place of refuge. Now when King Alexander had heard what promises Demetrius had sent unto Jonathan, when also it was told him of the battles and noble acts which he and his brethren had done, and of the pains that they had endured, he said, Shall we find such another man? Now therefore we will make him our friend and confederate. Upon this he wrote a letter, and sent it unto him, according to these words, saying, King Alexander, to his brother Jonathan, sending greeting. We have heard of thee, that thou art a man of great power, and meet to be our friend. Wherefore now this day we ordain thee to be the high priest of thy nation, and to be called the king's friend. And therewithal he sent him a purple robe and a crown of gold, and require thee to take our part, and keep friendship with us. So in the 7th month of the 160th year, at the Feast of Tabernacles, Jonathan put on the holy robe, and gathered together forces, and provided much armor. Whereof when Demetrius heard, he was very sorry, and said, What have we done that Alexander hath prevented us in making amity with the Jews to strengthen himself? I also will write unto them words of encouragement, and promise them dignities and gifts, that I may have their aid. He sent unto them therefore to this effect, King Demetrius unto the people of the Jews sendeth greeting. Whereas ye have kept covenants with us, and continued in our friendship, not joining yourselves with our enemies, we have heard thereof, and are glad. Wherefore now continue ye still to be faithful unto us, and we will recompense you for the things you do in our behalf, and will grant you many immunities and give you rewards. And now do I free you, and for your sake I release all the Jews from tributes, and from the customs of salt, and from crown taxes, and from that which appertaineth unto me to receive for the 3rd part of the seed, and the half of the fruit of the trees. I release it from this day forth, so that they shall not be taken of the land of Judea, nor of the 3 governments which are added thereunto out of the country of Samaria and Galilee, from this day forth forevermore. Let Jerusalem also be holy and free, with the borders thereof, both from tents and tributes. And as for the tower which is at Jerusalem, I yield up my authority over it, and give it to the high priest, that he may set in it such men as he shall choose to keep it. Moreover, I freely set at liberty every one of the Jews that were carried captives out of the land of Judea into any part of my kingdom. And I will that all my officers remit the tributes, even of their cattle. Furthermore, I will that all the feasts and Sabbaths and new moons and solemn days, and the 3 days before the feast, and the 3 days after the feast, shall be all days of immunity and freedom for all the Jews in my realm. Also, no man shall have authority to meddle with them, or to molest any of them in any matter. I will, further, that there be enrolled among the king's forces about 30,000 men of the Jews, unto whom pay shall be given, as belongeth to all the king's forces. And of them some shall be placed in the king's strongholds, of whom also some shall be set over the affairs of the kingdom, which are of trust. And I will that their overseers and governors be of themselves, and that they live after their own laws, even as the king hath commanded in the land of Judea. And concerning the 3 governments that are added to Judea from the country of Samaria, let them be joined with Judea, that they may be reckoned to be under one, nor bound to obey other authority than the high priests. As for Ptolemais and the land pertaining thereto, I give it as a free gift to the sanctuary at Jerusalem for the necessary expenses of the sanctuary. Moreover, I give every year 15,000 shekels of silver out of the king's accounts from the places appertaining. And all the overplus, which the officers paid not in as in former time, from henceforth shall be given toward the works of the temple. And beside this, the 5,000 shekels of silver, which they took from the uses of the temple out of the accounts year by year, even those things shall be released, because they appertain to the priests that minister. And whosoever they be that flee unto the temple at Jerusalem, or be within the liberties thereof, being indebted unto the king, or for any other matter, let them be at liberty, and all that they have in my realm. For the building also and repairing of the works of the sanctuary, expenses shall be given of the king's accounts. Yea, and for the building of the walls of Jerusalem, and the fortifying thereof round about, expenses shall be given out of the king's accounts, as also for the building of the walls in Judea. Now when Jonathan and the people heard these words, they gave no credit unto them, nor received them, because they remembered the great evil that he had done in Israel, for he had afflicted them very sore. But with Alexander they were well pleased, because he was the first that entreated of true peace with them. and they were confederate with him always. Then gathered King Alexander great forces and camped over against Demetrius. And after the two kings had joined battle, Demetrius's host fled, but Alexander followed after him and prevailed against them. And he continued the battle very sore until the sun went down, and that day was Demetrius slain. Afterward, Alexander sent ambassadors to Ptolemy, king of Egypt, with a message to this effect: Forasmuch as I am come again to my realm, and am set in the throne of my progenitors, and have gotten the dominion, and overthrown Demetrius, and recovered our country. For after I had joined battle with him, both he and his host was discomfited by us, so that we sit in the throne of his kingdom. Now therefore, let us make a league of amity together, and give me now thy daughter to wife, and I will be thy son-in-law, and will give both thee and her gifts according to thy dignity. Then Ptolemy the king gave answer, saying, Happy be the day wherein thou didst return into the land of thy fathers, and satest in the throne of their kingdom. And now will I do to thee as thou hast written. Meet me therefore at Ptolemais, that we may see one another, for I will marry my daughter to thee according to thy desire. So Ptolemy went out of Egypt with his daughter Cleopatra, and they came unto Ptolemais in the 162nd year, where King Alexander, meeting him, gave unto him his daughter Cleopatra, and celebrated her marriage at Ptolemais with great glory, as the manner of kings is. Now King Alexander had written unto Jonathan that he should come and meet him, who thereupon went honorably to Ptolemais, where he met the two kings, and gave them and their friends silver and gold, and many presents, and found favor in their sight. At that time certain pestilent fellows of Israel, men of a wicked life, assembled themselves against him, to accuse him, but the king would not hear them. Yea, more than that, the king commanded to take off his garments and clothe him in purple, and they did so. Also he made him sit by himself, and said unto his princes, Go with him into the midst of the city, and make proclamation, that no man complain against him of any matter, and that no man trouble him for any manner of cause. Now when his accusers saw that he was honored according to the proclamation, and clothed in purple, they fled all away. So the king honored him, and wrote him among his chief friends, and made him a duke and a partner of his dominion. Afterward, Jonathan returned to Jerusalem with peace and gladness. Furthermore, in the 165th year came Demetrius, son of Demetrius, out of Crete into the land of his fathers. Whereof, when King Alexander heard tell, he was right sorry, and returned into Antioch. Then Demetrius made Apollonius the governor of Celesyria his general, who gathered together a great host and camped in Jamnia, and sent unto Jonathan the high priest, saying, Thou alone liftest up thyself against us, and I am laughed to scorn for thy sake, and reproached. And why dost thou vaunt thy power against us in the mountains? Now therefore, if thou trustest in thine own strength, come down to us in the plain field, and there let us try the matter together, for with me is the power of the cities. Ask and learn who I am, and the rest that take our part, and they shall tell thee that thy foot is not able to stand before our face, for thy fathers have been twice put to flight in their own land. Wherefore now thou shalt not be able to abide the horsemen, and so great a power in the plain, where is neither stone nor flint, nor place to flee unto. So when Jonathan heard these words of Apollonius, he was moved in his mind, and choosing 10,000 men, he went out of Jerusalem, where Simon his brother met him for to help him. And he pitched his tents against Joppa, but they of Joppa shut him out of the city, because Apollonius had a garrison there. Then Jonathan laid siege unto it, whereupon they of the city led him in for fear, and so Jonathan won Joppa. Whereof, when Apollonius heard, he took 3,000 horsemen, with a great host of footmen, and went to Azotus as one that journeyed, and therewithal drew him forth into the plain, because he had a great number of horsemen, in whom he put his trust. Then Jonathan followed after him to Azotus, where the armies joined battle. Now Apollonius had left 1,000 horsemen in ambush. And Jonathan knew that there was an ambushment behind him, for they had compassed in his host, and cast darts at the people from morning till evening. But the people stood still, as Jonathan had commanded them, and so the enemy's horses were tired. Then brought Simon forth his host, and set them against the footmen, for the horsemen were spent, who were discomfited by him, and fled. The horsemen also, being scattered in the field, fled to Azotus, and went into Beth-dagon, their idol's temple, for safety. But Jonathan set fire on Azotus, and the cities round about it, and took their spoils, and the temple of Dagon, with them that were fled into it, he burned with fire. Thus there were burned and slain with the sword well nigh 8,000 men. And from thence Jonathan removed his host, and camped against Ascalon, where the men of the city came forth and met him with great pomp. After this returned Jonathan and his host unto Jerusalem, having many spoils. Now when King Alexander heard these things, he honored Jonathan yet more, and sent him a buckle of gold, as the use is to be given to such as are of the king's blood. He gave him also Acheron, with the borders thereof in possession. And the king of Egypt gathered together a great host, like the sand that lieth upon the seashore, and many ships, and went about through the sea to get Alexander's kingdom, and join it to his own. Whereupon he took his journey into Syria in peaceable manner, so as they of the cities opened unto him, and met him, for King Alexander had commanded them so to do, because he was his father-in-law. Now as Ptolemy entered into the cities, he set in every one of them a garrison of soldiers to keep it. And when he came near to Azotus, they showed him the temple of Dagon that was burned, and Azotus and the suburbs thereof that were destroyed, and the bodies that were cast abroad, and them that he had burnt in the battle, for they had made heaps of them by the way where he should pass. Also they told the king whatsoever Jonathan had done, to the intent he might blame him, but the king held his peace. Then Jonathan met the king with great pomp at Joppa, where they saluted one another and lodged. Afterward, Jonathan, when he had gone with the king to the river called Eleutherus, returned again to Jerusalem. King Ptolemy, therefore, having gotten the dominion of the cities by the sea unto Seleucia upon the sea coast, imagined wicked counsels against Alexander. Whereupon he sent ambassadors unto King Demetrius, saying, Come, let us make a league betwixt us, and I will give thee my daughter whom Alexander hath, and thou shalt reign in thy father's kingdom. For I repent that I gave my daughter unto him, for he sought to slay me. Thus did he slander him, because he was desirous of his kingdom. Wherefore he took his daughter from him, and gave her to Demetrius, and forsook Alexander, so that their hatred was openly known. But then Ptolemy entered into Antioch, where he set 2 crowns upon his head, the crown of Asia and of Egypt. In the mean season was King Alexander in Cilicia, because those that dealt in those parts had revolted from him. But when Alexander heard of this, he came to war against him, whereupon King Ptolemy brought forth his host, and met him with a mighty power, and put him to flight. So Alexander fled into Arabia, there to be defended, but King Ptolemy was exalted. For Zabdiel the Arabian took off Alexander's head, and sent it unto Ptolemy. King Ptolemy also died the 3rd day after, and they that were in the strongholds were slain one of another. By this means Demetrius reigned in the 167th year. At the same time Jonathan gathered together them that were in Judea, to take the tower that was in Jerusalem, and he made many engines of war against it. Then certain ungodly persons who hated their own people went unto the king, and told him that Jonathan besieged the tower. Whereof when he heard, he was angry, and immediately removing, he came to Ptolemais, and wrote unto Jonathan that he should not lay siege to the tower, but come and speak with him at Ptolemais in great haste. Nevertheless, Jonathan, when he heard this, commanded to besiege it still, and he chose certain of the elders of Israel and the priests, and put himself in peril, and took silver and gold and raiment, and divers presents besides, and went to Ptolemais unto the king, where he found favor in his sight. And though certain ungodly men of the people had made complaints against him, yet the king entreated him as his predecessors had done before, and promoted him in the sight of all his friends, and confirmed him in the high priesthood, and in all the honors that he had before, and gave him preeminence among his chief friends. Then Jonathan desired the king that he should make Judea free from tribute, as also the 3 governments, with the country of Samaria, and he promised him 300 talents. So the king consented, and wrote letters unto Jonathan of all these things after this manner. King Demetrius unto his brother Jonathan, and unto the nation of the Jews, sendeth greeting. We send you here a copy of the letter which we did write unto our cousin Lasthenes concerning you, that ye might see it. King Demetrius unto his father Lasthenes, sending greeting. We are determined to do good to the people of the Jews, who are our friends, and keep covenants with us, because of their goodwill towards us. Wherefore we have ratified unto them the borders of Judea, with the 3 governments of Apharima and Lydda and Ramathaim, that are added unto Judea from the country of Samaria, and all things appertaining unto them, for all such as do sacrifice in Jerusalem, instead of the payments which the king received of them yearly aforetime out of the fruits of the earth and of trees. And as for other things that belong unto us, of the tithes and customs pertaining unto us, as also the salt pits and the crown taxes which are due unto us, we discharge them of them all for their relief. And nothing hereof shall be revoked from this time forth forever. Now therefore see that thou make a copy of these things, and let it be delivered unto Jonathan, and set upon the holy mount in a conspicuous place. After this, when King Demetrius saw that the land was quiet before him, and that no resistance was made against him, he sent away all his forces, every one to his own place, except certain bands of strangers, whom he had gathered from the isles of the heathen. Wherefore all the forces of his fathers hated him. Moreover, there was one Tryphon, who had been of Alexander's part before, who, seeing that all the host murmured against Demetrius, went to Similcu the Arabian, that brought up Antiochus the young son of Alexander, and lay sore upon him to deliver him this young Antiochus, that he might reign in his father's stead. He told him therefore all that Demetrius had done, and how his men of war were at enmity with him, and there he remained a long season. In the meantime, Jonathan sent unto King Demetrius, that he would cast those of the tower out of Jerusalem, and those also in the fortresses, for they fought against Israel. So Demetrius sent unto Jonathan, saying, I will not only do this for thee and thy people, but I will greatly honor thee and thy nation, if opportunity serve. Now therefore thou shalt do well, if thou send me men to help me, for all my forces are gone from me. Upon this Jonathan sent him 3,000 strong men unto Antioch, and when they came to the king was very glad of their coming. Howbeit they that were of the city gathered themselves together in the midst of the city, to the number of 120,000 men, and would have slain the king. Wherefore the king fled into the court, but they of the city kept the passages of the city, and began to fight. Then the king called to the Jews for help, who came unto him all at once, and dispersing themselves throughout the city, slew that day in the city to the number of 100,000. Also they set fire on the city, and gat many spoils that day, and delivered the king. So when they of the city saw that the Jews had got the city as they would, their courage was abated. Wherefore they made supplication to the king, and cried, saying, Grant us peace, and let the Jews cease from assaulting us and the city. With that they cast away their weapons, and made peace. And the Jews were honored in the sight of the king, and in the sight of all that were in his realm. And they returned to Jerusalem, having great spoils. So King Demetrius sat on the throne of his kingdom, and the land was quiet before him. Nevertheless, he dissembled in all that he ever spake, and estranged himself from Jonathan. Neither rewarded he him according to the benefits which he had received of him, but troubled him very sore. After this returned Tryphon, and with him the young child Antiochus, who reigned and was crowned. Then were gathered unto him all the men of war, whom Demetrius had put away, and they fought against Demetrius, who turned his back and fled. Moreover, Tryphon took the elephants and won Antioch. At that time young Antiochus wrote unto Jonathan, saying, I confirm thee in the high priesthood, and appoint thee ruler over the 4 governments, and to be one of the king's friends. Upon this he sent him golden vessels to be served in, and gave him leave to drink in gold, and to be clothed in purple, and to wear a golden buckle. His brother Simon also he made captain from the place called the Ladder of Tyrus unto the borders of Egypt. Then Jonathan went forth and passed through the cities beyond the water, and all the forces of Syria gathered themselves unto him for to help him. And when he came to Ascalon, they of the city met him honorably. From whence he went to Gaza, but they of Gaza shut him out. Wherefore he laid siege unto it, and burned the suburbs thereof with fire, and spoiled them. Afterward, when they of Gaza made supplication unto Jonathan, he made peace with them, and took the sons of their chief men for hostages, and sent them to Jerusalem, and passed through the country unto Damascus. Now when Jonathan heard that Demetrius's princes were come to Cades, which is in Galilee, with a great power, purposing to remove him out of the country, he went to meet them, and left Simon his brother in the country. Then Simon encamped against Bethsura, and fought against it a long season, and shut it up. But they desired to have peace with him, which he granted them, and then put them out from thence, and took the city, and set a garrison in it. As for Jonathan and his host, they pitched at the water of Gennesar, from whence betimes in the morning they gat them to the plain of Nasor. And behold, the host of strangers met them in the plain, who, having laid men in ambush for him in the mountains, came themselves over against him. So when they that lay in ambush rose out of their places and joined battle, all that were of Jonathan's side fled, insomuch as there was not one of them left, except Mattathias the son of Absalom, and Judas the son of Calphi, the captains of the host. Then Jonathan rent his clothes and cast earth upon his head and prayed. Afterwards, turning again to battle, he put them to flight, and so they ran away. Now when his own men that were fled saw this, they turned again unto him, and with him pursued them to Cades, even unto their own tents, and there they camped. So there were slain of the heathen that day about 3,000 men, but Jonathan returned to Jerusalem. Now when Jonathan saw that the time served him, he chose certain men, and sent them to Rome for to confirm and renew the friendship that they had with him. He sent letters also to the Lacedaemonians and to other places for the same purpose. So they went unto Rome and entered into the Senate and said, Jonathan the high priest and the people of the Jews sent us unto you, to the end ye should renew the friendship which ye had with them, and league as in former time. Upon this the Romans gave them letters unto the governors of every place, that they should bring them into the land of Judea peacefully. And this is the copy of the letters which Jonathan wrote to the Lacedaemonians. Jonathan, the high priest, and the elders of the nation, and the priests, and the other people of the Jews, unto the Lacedaemonians and their brethren, send greeting. There were letters sent in times past unto Onias, the high priest from Darius, who reigned then among you, to signify that ye are our brethren, as the copy here underwritten doth specify. At which time Onias entreated the ambassador that was sent honorably, and received the letters, wherein declaration was made of the league and friendship. Therefore we also, albeit we need none of these things, for that we have the holy books of Scripture in our hands to comfort us, have nevertheless attempted to send unto you for the renewing of brotherhood and friendship, lest we should become strangers unto you altogether. For there is a long time past since ye sent unto us. We therefore at all times, without ceasing, both in our feasts and other convenient days, do remember you in the sacrifices which we offer, and in our prayers, as reason is, and as it becometh us to think upon our brethren. And we are right glad of your honor. As for ourselves, we have had great troubles and wars on every side, for so much as the kings that are round about us have fought against us. Howbeit we would not be troublesome unto you, nor others of our confederates and friends in these wars, for we have help from heaven that succoureth us. So as we are delivered from our enemies, and our enemies are brought under foot. For this cause we chose Numenius, the son of Antiochus, and Antipater, the son of Jason, and sent them unto the Romans to renew the amity that we had with them and the former league. We commanded them also to go unto you, and to salute you, and to deliver you our letters concerning the renewing of our brotherhood. Wherefore now ye shall do well to give us an answer thereto. And this is the copy of the letters which Oniares sent. Arius, king of the Lacedaemonians, to Onias the high priest, greeting. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham. Now therefore, since this is come to our knowledge, ye shall do well to write unto us of your prosperity. We do write back again to you that your cattle and goods are ours, and ours are yours. We do command therefore our ambassadors to make report unto you on this wise. Now when Jonathan heard that Demetrius's princes were come to fight against him with a greater host than afore, he removed from Jerusalem and met them in the land of Amathus, for he gave them no respite to enter his country. He sent spies also unto their tents, who came again and told him that they were appointed to come upon them in the night season. Wherefore, so soon as the sun was down, Jonathan commanded his men to watch and to be in arms, that all the night long they might be ready to fight. Also, he sent forth sentinels round about the host. But when the adversaries heard that Jonathan and his men were ready for battle, they feared and trembled in their hearts, and they kindled fires in their camp. Howbeit Jonathan and his company knew it not till the morning, for they saw the lights burning. Then Jonathan pursued after them, but overtook them not, for they were gone over the river Eleutherus. Wherefore Jonathan turned to the Arabians, who were called Zabadeans, and smote them, and took their spoils. And removing thence, he came to Damascus, and so passed through all the country. Simon also went forth, and passed through the country unto Ascalon, and the holds there adjoining, from whence he turned aside to Joppa, and won it. For he had heard that they would deliver the hold unto them that took Demetrius's part, wherefore he set a garrison there to keep it. After this came Jonathan home again, And calling the elders of the people together, he consulted with them about building strongholds in Judea, and making the walls of Jerusalem higher, and raising a great mount between the tower and the city, or to separate it from the city, so that it might be alone, that men might neither sell nor buy in it. Upon this they came together to build up the city, for as much as the part of the wall toward the brook on the east side was fallen down, and they repaired that which was called Caphanatha. Simon also set up Adida in Sapphela, and made it strong with gates and bars. Now Tryphon went about to get the kingdom of Asia, and to kill Antiochus the king, that he might set the crown upon his own head. Howbeit he was afraid that Jonathan would not suffer him, and that he would fight against him. Wherefore he sought a way how to take Jonathan, that he might kill him. So he removed and came to Bethsan. Then Jonathan went out to meet him with 40,000 men chosen for the battle, and came to Bethsan. Now when Tryphon saw that Jonathan came with so great a force, he durst not stretch his hand against him, but received him honorably, and commended him unto all his friends, and gave him gifts, and commanded his men of war to be obedient unto him as to himself. Unto Jonathan also he said, Why hast thou put all this people to so great trouble, seeing there is no war betwixt us? Therefore send them now home again, and choose a few men to wait on thee, and come thou with me to Ptolemais, for I will give it thee, and the rest of the strongholds and forces, and all that have any charge. As for me, I will return and depart, for this is the cause of my coming. So Jonathan, believing him, did as he bade him, and sent away his host, who went into the land of Judea. And with himself he retained but 3,000 men, of whom he sent 2,000 into Galilee, and 1,000 went with him. Now as soon as Jonathan entered into Ptolemais, they of Ptolemais shut the gates, and took him, and all them that came with him they slew with the sword. Then sent Tryphon an host of footmen and horsemen into Galilee, and into the great plain, to destroy all Jonathan's company. But when they knew that Jonathan and they that were with him were taken and slain, they encouraged one another, and went close together, prepared to fight. They therefore that followed upon them, perceiving that they were ready to fight for their lives, turned back again. Whereupon they all came into the land of Judea peaceably, and there they bewailed Jonathan and them that were with him, and they were sore afraid. Wherefore all Israel made great lamentation. Then all the heathen that were round about them sought to destroy them. For, said they have no captain, nor any to help them. Now therefore let us make war upon them, and take away their memorial from among men. Now when Simon heard that Tryphon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judea and destroy it, and saw that the people was in great trembling and fear, he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together, and gave them exhortation, saying, Ye yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws and the sanctuary, the battles also and troubles which we have seen, by reason whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. Now therefore be it far from me that I should spare mine own life in any time of trouble, for I am no better than my brethren. Doubtless I will avenge my nation, and the sanctuary, and our wives, and our children, for all the heathen are gathered to destroy us of very malice. Now as soon as the people heard these words, their spirit revived, and they answered with a loud voice, saying, Thou shalt be our leader instead of Judas, and Jonathan thy brother. Fight thou our battles, and whatsoever thou commandest us, that we will do. So then he gathered together all the men of war, and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem, and he fortified it round about. Also he sent Jonathan the son of Absalom, and with him a great power, to Joppa, who, casting out them that were therein, remained there in it. So Tryphon removed from Ptolemais with a great power to invade the land of Judea, and Jonathan was with him in war. But Simon pitched his tents at Adida over against the plain. Now when Tryphon knew that Simon was risen up instead of his brother Jonathan, and meant to join battle with him, he sent messengers unto him, saying, Whereas we have Jonathan thy brother in hold, it is for money that he is owing us unto the king's treasure, concerning the business that was committed unto him. Wherefore now send 100 talents of silver, and 2 of his sons for hostages, that when he is at liberty he may not revolt from us, and we will let him go. Hereupon Simon, albeit he perceived that they spake deceitfully unto him, yet sent he the money and the children, lest peradventure he should procure to himself great hatred of the people, who might have said, Because I sent him not the money and the children, therefore is Jonathan dead. So he sent them the children and the 100 talents. Howbeit Tryphon dissembled, neither would he let Jonathan go. And after this came Tryphon to invade the land and destroy it, going round about by the way that leadeth unto Idora. But Simon and his host marched against him in every place wheresoever he went. Now they that were in the tower sent messengers unto Tryphon, to the end that he should hasten his coming unto them by the wilderness, and send them victuals. Wherefore Tryphon made ready all his horsemen to come that night, but there fell a very great snow, by reason whereof he came not. So he departed, and came into the country of Galaad. And when he came near to Bascama, he slew Jonathan, who was buried there. Afterward Tryphon returned and went into his own land. Then sent Simon, and took the bones of Jonathan his brother, and buried them in Modin, the city of his fathers. And all Israel made great lamentation for him, and bewailed him many days. Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brethren, and raised it aloft to the site, with hewn stone behind and before. Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother and his 4 brethren. And in these he made cunning devices, about the which he set great pillars, and upon the pillars he made all their armor for a perpetual memory, and by the armor ships carved, that they might be seen of all that sail on the sea. This is the sepulchre which he made at Modin, and it standeth yet unto this day. Now Tryphon dealt deceitfully with the young king Antiochus, and slew him, and he reigned in his stead, and crowned himself king of Asia, and brought a great calamity upon the land. Then Simon built up the strongholds in Judea, and fenced them about with high towers, and great walls, and gates, and bars, and laid up victuals therein. Moreover, Simon chose men, and sent to King Demetrius, to the end he should give the land an immunity, because all that Tryphon did was to spoil. Unto whom King Demetrius answered and wrote after this manner: King Demetrius unto Simon the high priest, and friend of kings, as also unto the elders and nation of the Jews, sendeth greeting. The golden crown and the scarlet robe which he sent unto us we have received, and we are ready to make a steadfast peace with you, yea, and to write unto our officers, to confirm the immunities which we have granted. And whatsoever covenants we have made with you shall stand, and the strongholds which ye have builded shall be your own. As for any oversight or fault committed unto this day, we forgive it, and the crown tax also which ye owe us. And if there were any other tribute paid in Jerusalem, it shall no more be paid. And look, who are meet among you to be in our court, let them be enrolled, and let there be peace betwixt us. Thus the yoke of the heathen was taken away from Israel in the 170th year. Then the people of Israel began to write in their instruments and contracts, in the first year of Simon the high priest, the governor and leader of the Jews. In those days Simon camped against Gaza, and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war, and set it by the city, and battered a certain tower, and took it. And they that were in the engine leapt into the city, whereupon there was a great uproar in the city, insomuch as the people of the city rent their clothes, and climbed upon the walls with their wives and children, and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace. And they said, Deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thine mercy. So Simon was appeased toward them, and fought no more against them, but put them out of the city, and cleansed the houses wherein the idols were, and so entered into it with songs and thanksgiving. Yea, he put all uncleanness out of it, and placed such men there as would keep the law, and made it stronger than it was before, and built therein a dwelling place for himself. They also of the tower in Jerusalem were kept so strait that they could neither come forth nor go into the country, nor buy nor sell. Wherefore they were in great distress for want of victuals, and a great number of them perished through famine. Then cried they to Simon, beseeching him to be at one with them, which thing he granted them. And when he had put them out from thence, he cleansed the tower from pollutions, and entered into it the 23rd day of the 2nd month, in the 171st year, with thanksgiving and branches of palm trees, and with harps and cymbals, and with viols and hymns and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel. He ordained also that the day should be kept every year with gladness. Moreover, the hill of the temple that was by the tower he made stronger than it was, and there he dwelt himself with his company. And when Simon saw that John his son was a valiant man, he made him captain of all the hosts, and he dwelt in Gazara. Now in the 112th year, King Demetrius gathered his forces together, and went into Media, to get him help to fight against Tryphon. But when Arsaces, the king of Persia and Media, heard that Demetrius was entered within his borders, he sent one of his princes to take him alive, who went and smote the host of Demetrius, and took him, and brought him to Arsaces, by whom he was put in ward. As for the land of Judea, that was quiet all the days of Simon, for he sought the good of his nation in such wise as that evermore his authority and honor pleased them well. And as he was honorable in all his acts, so in this, that he took Joppa for a haven, and made an entrance to the isles of the sea, and enlarged the bounds of his nation, and recovered the country, and gathered together a great number of captives, and had the dominion of Gazara, and Bethsura, and the tower, out of the which he took all uncleanness, neither was there any that resisted him. Then did they till their ground in peace, and the earth gave her increase, and the trees of the field their fruit. The ancient men sat all in the streets, communing together of good things, and the young men put on glorious and warlike apparel. He provided victuals for the cities, and set in them all manner of munition, so that his honorable name was renowned unto the end of the world. He made peace in the land, and Israel rejoiced with great joy, for every man sat under his vine and his fig tree, and there was none to pray them. Neither was there any left in the land to fight against them. Yea, the kings themselves were overthrown in those days. Moreover, he strengthened all those of his people that were brought low. The law he searched out, and every contemner of the law and wicked person he took away. He beautified the sanctuary, and multiplied the vessels of the temple. Now when it was heard at Rome, and as far as Sparta, that Jonathan was dead, they were very sorry. But as soon as they heard that his brother Simon was made high priest in his stead, and ruled the country and the cities therein, they wrote unto him in tables of brass to renew the friendship and league which they had made with Judas and Jonathan his brethren, which writings were read before the congregation at Jerusalem. And this is the copy of the letters that the Lacedaemonians sent. The rulers of the Lacedaemonians with the city, unto Simon the high priest, and the elders and priests, and residue of the people of the Jews, our brethren, send greeting. The ambassadors that were sent unto our people certified us of your glory and honor, wherefore we were glad of their coming, and did register the things that they spake in the council of the people in this manner. Numenius, son of Antiochus, and Antipater, son of Jason, the Jews' ambassadors, came unto us to renew the friendship they had with us. And it pleased the people to entertain the men honorably, and to put the copy of their assemblage in public records, to the end that the people of the Lacedaemonians might have a memorial thereof. Furthermore, we have written a copy thereof unto Simon the high priest. After this, Simon sent Numenius to Rome with a great shield of gold of 1,000 pound weight, to confirm the league with them. Whereof, when the people heard, they said, What thanks shall we give to Simon and his sons? For he and his brethren and the house of his father have established Israel, and chased away in fight their enemies from them, and confirmed their liberty. So then they wrote it in tables of brass, which they set upon pillars in Mount Sion. And this is the copy of the writing. The 18th day of the month Elul, in the 163 year, being the 3rd year of Simon the high priest, at Saramel, in the great congregation of the priests and people and rulers of the nation and elders of the country, were these things notified unto us. Forasmuch as oftentimes there have been wars in the country wherein, for the maintenance of their sanctuary and the law, Simon the son of Mattathias, of the posterity of Jareb, together with his brethren, put themselves in jeopardy, and resisting the enemies of their nation, did their nation great honor. For after that Jonathan, having gathered his nation together, and been their high priest, was added to his people, their enemies purposed to invade their country, that they might destroy it, and lay hands on the sanctuary. At which time Simon rose up and fought for his nation, and spent much of his own substance, and armed the valiant men of his nation, and gave them wages, and fortified the cities of Judea, together with Bethsura, that lieth upon the borders of Judea, where the armor of the enemies had been before. But he set a garrison of Jews there. Moreover, he fortified Joppa, which lieth upon the sea, and Gazara, that bordereth upon Azotus, where the enemies had dwelt before. But he placed Jews there, and furnished them with all things convenient for the reparation thereof. The people therefore, seeing the acts of Simon, and unto what glory he thought to bring to his nation, made him their governor and chief priest, because he had done all these things, and for the justice and faith which he kept to his nation, and for that he sought by all means to exalt his people. For in his time things prospered in his hands, so that the heathen were taken out of their country, and they also that were in the city of David in Jerusalem, who had made themselves a tower, out of which they issued, and polluted all about the sanctuary, and did much hurt in the holy place. But he placed Jews therein, and fortified it for the safety of the country and the city, and raised up the walls of Jerusalem. King Demetrius also confirmed him in the high priesthood according to those things, and made him one of his friends, and honored him with great honor. For he had heard say that the Romans had called the Jews their friends and confederates and brethren, and that they had entertained the ambassadors of Simon honorably. Also, that the Jews and priests were well pleased that Simon should be their governor and high priest forever, until there should arise a faithful prophet. Moreover, that he should be their captain, and should take charge of the sanctuary, to set them over their works, and over the country, and over the armor, and over the fortresses. That, I say, he should take charge of the sanctuary. Beside this, that he should be obeyed of every man, and that all the writings in the country should be made in his name, and that he should be clothed in purple, and wear gold. Also, that it should be lawful for none of the people or priests to break any of these things, or to gainsay his words, or to gather an assembly in the country without him, or to be clothed in purple, or wear a buckle of gold. And whosoever should do otherwise, or break any of these things, he should be punished. Thus it liked all the people to deal with Simon, and to do as hath been said. Then Simon accepted hereof, and was well pleased to be high priest, and captain and governor of the Jews and priests, and to defend them all. So they commanded that this writing should be put in tables of brass, and that they should be set up within the compass of the sanctuary in a conspicuous place. Also, that the copies thereof should be laid up in the treasury, to the end that Simon and his sons might have them. Moreover, Antiochus, son of Demetrius the
Okay. Before I get my ears blown out, let us go back to chapter 10. And D fell off the wagon. Fell off the broadcast. She doesn't have a wagon. No wagon. Belay that. Okay. So, for chapter 10, everybody all at once. Okay. So we're dealing with Alexander Epiphanes. He's going to be coming to the forefront again, and then verses 3 through 6, Demetrius makes peace with Jonathan. Now, this is Demetrius Jr., right?
Mm-hmm.
Demetrius the second. Got anything else in that little stint right there?
There's a lot in these.
GR, this is the time when they started confounding Israel with Judah and Judah with Jews. They started mixing them all up, at least in the text. So then I don't have anything till 7:11, and that's basically to recounting how Jonathan retrieves the hostages and starts to rebuild Jerusalem. And then we have the oppressors that Maccabees had set up. Those dudes they flee when they see all this happening. And it's interesting because in 14 it says that Bethsura is the home of the people that don't keep the law. Right? Bethsura, certain of those that had forsaken the law and commandments, they still remained there. So he goes up against them.
Sanctuary City.
So then we got this. Alexander offers alliance and a crown to Jonathan. And basically, he accepts that. And then we got Demetrius makes a counteroffer. Basically, you can have a high priest. You can keep the feasts and Sabbaths. And then at the end of that offer, Jonathan and Judah basically tell Demetrius, okay, right? They don't trust him. Yes, Carla? Oh, okay. Just
No, I'm
jump
sorry.
in.
I'm just laughing. I think there's a little bit of a lag. I don't want to like talk over. I was a little bit lost, right? Because I read Maccabees a while ago,
Okay.
and I just love the story, right? Like the main story when everything starts happening and they take over um the temple again, right? But on this one, I have to confess, I've always been really bad at history, like learning history. I think God just kept me from that, so that I can learn the real one, this one, and I'm a little bit lost. So if you don't mind, can you like basically what part of the story was this that took place in? Because like I said, I tried going back and forth a little bit. I hadn't done the
Mm-hmm.
reading with you
So,
guys, but this is my first time. So I'm a little bit
right.
lost in the.
Okay. So just a quick summary of where we're at. This starts off. Maccabees starts off with the family of Judas Maccabeus. Right. He's one of the sons of people. This is after the Babylonian captivity when they've returned to Judah, to the land of Judah, right? Because at that time, Israel, it was split. The kingdom of Israel was split into the house of Judah and the house of Israel or Ephraim. And so this is just highlighting the fight that they're having under the oppressors. And it's giving the years. And I want to say Maccabees starts about, 150 years after the return from the captivity? 140 years? If you have it written in your notes, throw it into the chat. So then now we're getting Jonathan is the second son. First one was Judas, or what's the Hebrew name? Joshua for him?
For what? Yeshua?
No, for Judas.
Oh.
Well, it would be Yeshua. Yeshua. And so it's just basically a history of them being oppressed and then fighting the oppressors and then being oppressed and then fighting the oppressors. And so that's basically where we're at right now, Carla. Let's see. So Jonathan accepts this offer from Alexander. And this is Junior, or not Junior. He's like the grandson of Alexander the Great.
No, it's okay. I don't
Okay.
know what it is exactly that they're discussing. What we just read.
So what that is, basically they got betrayed by Demetrius, and then Demetrius realizes he's going to get his butt kicked by Alexander. So he makes a peace offering again with with Judah. And then they say, we don't want that. They accept the offer that was given by Alexander instead because they don't trust Demetrius. So then, what we got? 48 through 50, Alexander defeats and slays Demetrius, and then he offers peace to Egypt, to Ptolemy. Verses 52 to 54. So Ptolemy says, okay, here, take my daughter. Whoa. People disappearing all over the place. You guys need to start screaming if you see like a giant hole with teeth open up behind me. Okay, there's Landon again. Welcome back, Landon.
I don't know what that was about.
Okay, so at this point, they like recognize Jonathan as the leader or king over Judah. But then in verse 69, out of nowhere, he's the high priest. So where did that come from? Now remember, when we started Maccabees, their dad, their father, had it set in his mind to become the high priest. So where was the high priest already? Because we don't get any indication that I remember that these are descended from Aaron, that these are of the tribe of Levi and descended from Aaron. But we're told again and again and again that they're of Judah.
Yeah, because weren't they were politically being picked, right? Basically like today.
Well, right now we're seeing where they are. They're taking it. Well, nobody else is doing it, so I'm going to be the high priest, is the way I see it. Here's the way I'm interpreting it. Okay. Anyways. Then I got a bit of a gap. And then what is that? 72? Now, is this Apollonius? It basically says to Jonathan, come down here in the plain and fight me mano a mano. And so basically he does. I took way too many notes for 10. So then in 74 through 85, we see that Jonathan defeats Apollonius, scorches a bunch of cities, and then he returns to Jerusalem.
I think that dude was probably named after Apollo, huh?
Yeah.
You see, you have the mixing of the two, they're in a different, they're in a land of different beliefs.
Yep. Yeah, and the other thing too, let's see, what was it? Host goal. So then after he defeats Apollonius, Alexander's like, dude, you're even more awesome. And gives him a bunch more gold and other stuff. Okay. So chapter 11, I don't have anything until down in verse 9. If you have anything before that.
I didn't take any notes.
Okay. That. So Ptolemy gets upset with Alexander, or Demetrius, who is it? He gets upset with Alexander and takes Cleopatra and says, hey, I'll let you marry my daughter Cleopatra that I gave to Alexander because I don't like him anymore. Who doesn't want to be in that situation? Come on, men, speak up, right? Or women, who doesn't want to be taken away from the man they were given to and then handed off to another man?
That's
Okay,
weird.
so it's a bit of a strange story there, eh? So Demetrius says, okay. So then now it starts getting really weird. Okay, so Alexander in 15 and through 17, Alexander flees to Arabia and the Arabs kill him. But then Ptolemy also dies, king of Egypt. That's a bit, there's not much information in that.
Hey, just to clarify, that can't be the same Cleopatra that we know the stories of, like Caesar, right? That whole coup.
It could be, maybe, but maybe it was a common name.
Right.
But Antony was a Greek general, right? Or a Roman general, one of the two. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, might have been
Who
Roman.
betrayed his king, his Caesar. So then we have, no, what is this I did? Verse 21. All I put down for my note was like now. And 21 says, then came ungodly persons who hated their own people and went into the king and told them that Jonathan besieged the tower. So we got a lot of that now, people hating their own people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very strange situation.
Yeah.
There we go. So notice too that these are, like in verse 25 also, certain ungodly men of the people made complaints against him. So they're ungodly false witnesses. So then in 26, 27, we have Demetrius, who's Demetrius Jr., confirms that Jonathan is the high priest. Now, how can an outsider confirm that? How can a stranger or a foreigner say, okay, you're the high priest? So then we have, go ahead.
I noticed. I like how he's trying to make them free from tribute. It says, which is what basically like taxes.
Yeah, basically. Don't beat us up and we'll pay you taxes. So, and he does.
And it talks about the three governments. Thought that was interesting.
Right? And what verse is that?
That is 28.
Yep.
Basically what we have today, right?
It does sound kind of like that. Yep. So there, let's see, where did I go? Where you at? 28?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he does. So Demetrius waives all those taxes and burdens, the tithes, all the crops and everything that his dad put on Judah. But then his own people hate him because all the soldiers, because he made peace, he sent them home. And they're like, we don't want peace. We need a paycheck. Yep, I agree, Beth. That is true. History is more cyclical than linear. So what do we got?
Mm-hmm.
That.
There is.
So this army that used to be his, he knows that they're going to fight against them. He asks Jonathan for help, and he sends it. But then you have the former general Tryphon and Antiochus basically assassinate Demetrius Jr. But then they confirm Jonathan again as leader and high priest. And he makes Simon, his brother, a captain in Egypt, I think, right? Is that 57, 59? Yeah. Place called the Ladder of Tyrus on the borders of Egypt. So then Jonathan, goes and takes hostages in Gaza. So this is the same type of thing that Nebuchadnezzar did to Judah. He's taking people captive and holding them as hostages. Can you imagine if somebody did that today? If they like kidnapped Congress and the president said, if you don't obey us, we're going to kill them. Basically, the whole country would be like, you don't have the guts. No. At least that's the mood I'm sensing with most of the country.
Yeah.
Okay. So then there's much more fighting. And that closes out 11 for 12. So here again, Jonathan goes and renews peace with Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And also reaches out to Lacedaemon. Black helicopters fly over my house all the time. Anyways, yeah, it's because I live on the approach to the Air Force Base, most likely. So then I got a huge gap. I don't have anything until 48. 48? Yeah, verse 48.
I didn't get very many notes.
You know, it's kind of boring to take notes on just when it's this, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and to pick out something that's really jumps out as important.
Yeah, there's not too much like interpretation or realization. This sort of it's very interesting. I think it's just not. You don't really. The notes are there.
Right. Okay, so Jonathan gets invited by Tryphon to Ptolemaeus, right? And they assassinate him. They kill him. And then they go after the people that the soldiers that he came with, but they were onto him. And then, let's see here. Oh, wrong chapter. So he's assassinated, and then all the nations around them want to destroy Judea. That, oops. Can't spell today. That, excuse me. Anything else for chapter 12?
I'd like to find out what Adida means. Just, yeah. Stop.
Are we talking about 12 or 13? Shawnette? Okay. So now Simon is leading Judea. Right? And then in verses 7 and 9, all Judea pledges allegiance to Simon. And then I don't have anything until 27, 28. So 27, 28, he builds these tombs for his brothers and their dad. He builds a monument of pyramids. Where are those? Where are they now?
7 of them, huh?
Are they still there somewhere?
I wonder what it is about the pyramid. You know?
I was thinking off topic, but there's a 1-star general that works at a law office nearby. They're retired, obviously, and I just found out that he was a general, but he's got all these pyramids and Egyptian stuff in his office. It was interesting enough as you're walking by at night and the light was on, and you look over and there's all these different things and cases, and then of course the military memorabilia. But I was like, huh. So when someone told me they were a general, I was like, that's interesting. I don't know what it is about the pyramids though, but it's interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I know. A lot of people think the New Jerusalem possibly is even in the shape of a pyramid.
No. Well, they put a pyramid on the High Court of Israel, modern day Israel, United Nations Israel, over there.
Must be his holy mom.
That.
Right.
Okay, so then Tryphon, remember? Alexander's general?
Mm-hmm.
Demetrius's general? Demetrius's general murders Antiochus. And then Demetrius Jr., is this Junior? Acknowledges Simon as the high priest. That's in 36. But then, in verse 42, notice that. Verse 42 of Maccabees 13. Judah starts dating documents by the year of the high priest. So this happened in the first year of Simon, high priest. Very interesting, eh? And then I found this really interesting. It jumped out at me. So
What's that?
very, very interesting, right? He's cleaning up Jerusalem again. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. He's cleaning up Gaza. No. It is Jerusalem, right? In verse 49, they also, of the tower in Jerusalem, were kept so straight that they could neither come forth nor go into the country, nor buy nor sell.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Where's that?
Wherefore, verse 49, wherefore they were in great distress for want of victuals. So they couldn't leave. They couldn't travel. So therefore they could not buy or sell. Wherefore they were in great distress for want of victuals, and a great number of them perished through famine. And then in verse 51, he enters into Jerusalem, 20th day of the second month, in the 171st year, after the return of the captivity, with thanksgiving and branches of palm trees, with harps, cymbals, viols, hymns, and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel.
Huh, interesting.
He's received in the same manner that it was prophesied the Messiah would enter Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
But we know he's not Messiah, right? I'll say that he was a type for delivering the people in violent means, but you can see how this is set up so that by the time Yeshua does get here and he has his disciples, why they expect him to be the Lion of Judah and not the Lamb.
Interesting.
Yep.
And this was right before, Yeshua shows up. So that's really interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
compared to how far away we are now.
Yeah.
I've often wondered, though. I've just pondered this, and I know. No, I don't know how to frame it up. That's all right. I'll hang on.
Sure. Get us all on the edge of our seat, and then never mind.
I've wondered this. Like, I know most of us have been taught that in the boys. I've wondered that if when he let's just move on. Sorry, I can't.
Okay. Someone needs to clip that part out and make a meme of it. Okay. Anyways, and then notice they close out the chapter 13. Simon makes his son John, who is a valiant man, made him captain over all the hosts. So he makes his son general over all the armies. Okay. And then I have just a series of general notes for chapter 14. So if anything jumps out at you, let me know. So verses 1 through 3, Demetrius is taken captive. Demetrius Jr., right? 4 through 15 is basically the exploits and blessings of Simon. 17 and 18, Rome confirms their covenant, their agreement, their treaty with Simon. Lacedaemon accepts peace with Simon, and then basically Simon is well loved by everybody. If you pick anything else out of that, let me know. Anything. No, don't hold back.
I mean, they confirmed, I guess, the priest again. Demetrius did.
Right? Isn't that, that's kind of, to put it into modern day terms, I guess that would be like the Pope.
That's what I thought of.
Is it?
Yeah, because, I mean, they pick them kind of like that.
Yes, Smiley?
I just had this image in my head of the king coming up and giving that Trump speech. No one's ever been a better priest. The best priest we've ever had.
I'm the greatest high priest we've ever had.
Nobody does it like me.
Interesting.
I'm a very humble man.
I would argue we already have one holy, perfect king. Okay. So, anybody else have something to throw out there? Anybody else have something to throw up there?
I'll
John?
throw.
Theo?
Yeah, I already did this morning. I think he got some of the couch stuck in his throat, and yeah, I cleaned up bile earlier. So
You should really stop buying couches made of licorice.
Listen to this. So they commanded that the writings should be put in tables of brass, and that they should be set up within the compass of the sanctuary, in a conspicuous place. The compass of the sanctuary.
Place. Right, within it.
Yeah, but
Inside it.
in Jerusalem, it's a rectangle, the whole thing. So how's there a compass in a rectangle?
It's a different meaning of the word. So, like, if you surround somebody, you've compassed them.
So within the walls of the.
Okay.
Right.
Made me think of those brass tablets that they found in those graves in Texas.
What?
Yeah, they had these caves in Texas. If people were trying to, like, they made like YouTube videos on it saying they were giants. I don't know that. But there were these small caves that someone went in, and it was kind of a tall red-headed fella. And it was interesting. I don't remember if it was cuneiform or what, but they had these brass tablets inside there. Just yeah.
In cuneiform?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's let everybody get back to enjoying their wonderful day of rest. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you, Dee, who's no longer with us right this moment, and Landon and Carla. Welcome. We're going to have to get you here more often. That, especially when we get a name chapter. Anyways, Carla, hang out for a bit. Everybody else, Matthew's going to say something.
Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell icon somewhere over here.
Hit the little bell. And we will see you in a couple of days. That I know that First Maccabees is kind of dry. It gets much more to a personal level in Second Maccabees, with all kinds of wonderful torture and dismemberment. That it makes for some captivating reading. Anyways, love you all. We'll see you very soon. Bye.